Lila had always loved playtime. Since she was a little girl, her vivid imagination turned her dull bedroom into fantastical worlds filled with dragons, princesses, and brave explorers. But there was one friend she trusted more than anything, an imaginary companion named Milo. He was tall and kind, with bright blue eyes and a mischievous grin. She created him when she was 6, during lonely nights after her parents' divorce. Milo was her confidant, her protector, her only friend in a house that felt increasingly empty. As Lila grew older, Milo remained a constant fixture of her mind, shifting from a child's imaginary friend to a silent presence she carried within her thoughts. Her parents dismissed his existence as a phase, but Lila knew he was real enough for her. One autumn evening, when Lila was about 15, she sat alone in her dimly lit room, sketching in her notebook. Outside, the wind howled, and leaves scraped against the windows. Milo was there, as always, perched on her bedpost, watching silently. "You're quiet today," Lila murmured, glancing at him. Milo's eyes seemed to glint eerily under the faint glow of her desk lamp. "I'm always here, you know," he said softly, his voice a whisper only she could hear. Lila chuckled nervously. "Yeah, but you're extra quiet. What's up?" Milo leaned closer. "Lila, do you ever get bored of being alone?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "No. I like having you here." He nodded, but his eyes flickered with something darker. "Good. Because I think it's time we did something exciting." Lila felt a shiver run down her spine but brushed it off. "Like what?" Milo smirked. "You'll see." The next morning, Lila awoke to find her room transformed. The familiar posters, the soft plush toys, all shifted. Now, shadows stretched longer, and the air felt dense. Milo was gone, replaced by something darker, the shape of a tall figure lurking near her closet. She called out, voice trembling, but only silence answered. Her heart pounded. She hesitated, then moved cautiously toward her door. In the hallway, her parents were absent. Usually their faces hovered at the door, but today, their bedroom door was shut tight, shadows flickering behind the curtains. Lila approached cautiously, peeking inside. Her mother was there, asleep on the bed, her face ghostly pale, eyes flickering open suddenly. She sat up with a start, whispering, "Lila? Honey, everything okay?" Lila blinked, confused. "Mom, what's going on? What's happening?" Her mother's expression flickered, revealing a hint of something unnatural. "You need to stay safe. Remember, Milo's not your friend." Lila's blood ran cold. "What do you mean? Milo's always been there for me." Her mother reached out with trembling hands. "He isn't who you think he is anymore. He's dangerous. You have to let him go." Lila ran back to her room, clutching her head. Her thoughts spun. The shadows in her room seemed to convulse, twisting into monstrous shapes. Her reflection in the mirror was distorted, not quite her reflection. Suddenly, she saw Milo again, standing at the foot of her bed, eyes dark and hollow, mischief replaced by malevolence. "You've been ignoring me," Milo murmured, voice cold and unrecognizable. "You're not Milo," Lila whispered, backing away. "Oh, but I am," he replied, voice deepening, echoing with malice. "And now, I don't want to be your friend anymore. I want to be your nightmare." Lila screamed as shadows erupted from the walls, wrapping around her like grasping claws. The room grew ice cold, her breath fogging in the air. She tried to run, but her limbs felt heavy as if invisible chains held her firm. "Let me out, Mom, Dad!" she yelled, but her voice was swallowed by the darkness. A grotesque figure emerged from the shadows, taller, with eyes like pits in the abyss. It was Milo, no longer the imaginary friend who comforted her, but a monster born of her fears, her loneliness, her suppressed doubts. He reached out with a clawed hand, talons shining in the dim light. "It's time to say goodbye," he hissed. Lila cowered, tears streaming down her face. She remembered her mother's words. Milo was not real. He was an evil spirit born from her imagination, feeding on fear. Suddenly, she remembered her childhood sketches, drawings of Milo, with sharp teeth and evil eyes. She grabbed her pencil and, trembling, drew fiercely on her notebook, creating a new image, a bright, shining symbol of hope, a guardian angel she had always imagined. She slammed the book shut, and for a moment, the shadows trembled. Milo's figure shrieked and dissolved into nothingness, leaving her alone in the cold, silent room. Breathing hard, Lila looked around. The shadows had receded, the air thick with relief but fraught with lingering dread. She knew Milo was gone, at least for now. But as she looked into her reflection, she saw, for a fleeting second, a shadow flicker behind her, a faint grin with malicious intent. Lila understood that evil, even an imaginary one, could never be fully erased. Sometimes, the darkness inside her mind was harder to extinguish than any shadow lurking in the night. From that day forward, she kept her sketchbook close, filling it with hopeful images, reminders that light could dispel darkness, even the darkness she carried within herself. But she also knew she'd never truly be rid of Milo. Not entirely. And sometimes, when the house was silent and the wind whispered just right, she thought she saw that glint in her reflection, something watching, waiting, still alive in the shadows.